cloud there. Hello, this is Tchipakkan, and this is the Changing Times, Changing Worlds show, as we give you a sneak peek into the fun that you could have at Changing Times, Changing Worlds, which will be starting in about a week. It will start a week from Monday, and we have two classes, one panel every evening, Monday through Friday, and then we're having 2 full days of panels and classes. It's going to be great. Tonight, we're having an open reading where Lois, sometimes known as So Magical, and I will trade off on doing readings for anybody who wants one. So in the audience, let's see, is there anybody who wants to put forward that they want one? Well, if not, perhaps I will do a quick reading for Lois. Because, I mean, how often do the readers get somebody to read for them?
I would enjoy that.
Yeah. What kind of, would you prefer a Lenormand reading, or would you prefer a tarot reading? Rune readings are a little longer winded, as it were.
Reader's choice.
Reader's choice. Okay. Well, then I'm going to go for the next to top deck here. This is the Robin Wood deck, which is one of our families. Everybody, in our family has these cards, and one of the coolest things about it is Robin Wood is an artist as well as a reader, and her book tells people why she chose particular color, why she put this particular symbol in, and it's very helpful when you're reading to look at that and say, okay, I am now shuffling for Lois. And do you want to think of a question, or shall I just, you think about the question and I will let the cards come up with the answer? Okay.
Okay.
This is something that I have, let's see, is that going to work? I was doing it a little earlier in the year, and you can kind of see this. All right, I'm going to do a standard reading. Wait a second. Kathy, can I make you the host so that somebody else will let anybody else who comes in while my back is to the screen?
Sure.
Okay. Let's see. There. I had forgotten that my back is to the screen this way. But during the pandemic, I have done some distance readings, and I found the place to put the table. And the cards, as I'm coming up, since Lois is a very talented reader on her own, she will probably be reading, interpreting along with me. But, not particularly liking that one. The Tower is the final outcome card. We have 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's not too bad. Only 3 trumps, which basically means that Lois has a lot more ability to affect this than if there were too many trumps. The conflict that we're dealing with here is the 3 of Wands, and the Queen of pentagrams or coins, which I think in this case probably represents Lois, because the Queen of Pentagrams is a thoughtful, talented woman who was a good organizer and has great insight, which means that she is the one dealing with the ships coming in that we see in the 3 of Wands. So I'm going to say Lois has been working on something really hard and is about to get the results of it. Given that I know Lois, I'm going to guess it's the con, because I know that she's been working like crazy for the last several months. Now, the basis of it is the 7 of Swords reversed, which means that 7 of Swords is somebody trying to get away with something. Usually reversed means they're not getting away with it. So at the base of this is, okay, I'm just going to say this, the complications that have caused a lot of the problems involved probably have to do with the pandemic. The trying to get away with it is, I would interpret that, having picked the con as the liable, as the most likely thing, I think most of the complications that we're dealing with have to do with trying to work around the pandemic without putting in the effort that was necessary. In the past, we have the 7 of Cups, which is way too many options. Reversed, the options that we're hoping for are restricted. Final outcome is the World. Or this isn't quite the final outcome. This is the best possible outcome. I think that would be, can you see that there? Yes, there we go. The lady dancing, that we can have a absolutely marvelous con. And as a matter of fact, here we have our two of the 3 trumps. We have the World and we have Judgment. And I love Robin's Judgment, because it's like the phoenix rising from the ashes. And this is what is actually going to happen. And when you pair that with the 7 of Cups, it means that the choices that have been selected from are going to be the right ones, that it's going to work out. It's going to work out really, really well. Intimately involved with the con, I'm happy with that one too. Okay, now I'm going to skip ahead to the immediate and family reaction environment is the 5 of Swords, what Robin calls the na 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 card. And so basically somebody is not being as somebody is not behaving well, is acting like a big jerk because they have an advantage. This should be Lois's immediate environment. My instinct, and I'm the reader, so I get to say this, is that what that is the environment that is dominating this right now is the political environment. Is we got some big babies going na 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 na. You can't, which is kind of overshadowing everything we're doing. Well, on you anyway. So hopes and fears, we have the 4 of Wands reversed. That would be happy getting together with friends. Reversed, you're not getting together with friends. and yet you are. So the con is going to be a bizarre level of getting together with friends. You're gonna do it, but there's going to be a little frustration because it's not the best possible, but it will be it'll be better. Now, what you're bringing into the situation, this is how I read the ninth card, is when I was started, they said, this is your hopes, this is your fears. I've never found that to be true. And I've had a lot of success. So this is what you're doing. And this is the, oh my God, I'm just going to have to keep doing this card. This is the person who keeps on keeping on, constant vigilance, keeps trying.
Which card is that?
That is the nine of wands.
Okay.
Nine of wands. The one where you've got the man in front of the palisade with a stick and he's waiting for the barbarians. That nobody is going to be getting past. This is what you're doing. You're making sure that anything that seems to be falling apart, you got your thumb in the dike. You're not going to let anything get past you. And that's your contribution. That's what you're doing.
Okay.
Final outcome, Tower. The Tower is usually a pretty scary card, but the Tower indicates change. And at the moment, a change might be good. We have been busting our butts for 6 months trying to organize a conference where nobody's allowed to see each other except through a screen. And things are going to change. Someone pointed out to me this morning that the 2 weeks following Mercury retrograde are a time of change. And Mercury retrograde ended yesterday. So the next 2 weeks are change. If the Tower represents breaking down of things that need to be gotten rid of, that's cool. One cannot ignore that the Tower is always a scary card. But when you look at the other two trumps, you've got the World and Judgment, both of which are in this is what's happening. It looks like a positive reading, despite the power, the Tower being the final outcome. But we have to be prepared, and Lois's personal card is the one who's always prepared. We got to be ready for change, and there's going to be change.
Mm-hmm.
Any questions?
What's interesting is that your reading, it does mesh with the idea of the conference, but it also meshes with the question which I was concentrating on.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
But we also know that the cards tell you what they think it's important for you to know, not necessarily what you ask.
We also, this is maybe a great example of the cards will tell you what the cards say, but the reader always sees it through their own filter. And I'm interpreting it through the filter of what I know about you and what I know about what's going on political and what's going on with the con. And if you've got things that are going on in your personal life that you can then look at and say, ah, I recognize those. Well, it's very convenient that you know how to read too. But that's one of the cool things about the cards is that you can, even people who don't read them can look at the pictures and say, oh, I get that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. I think this
I
is
hope
actually...
you enjoyed that. As I say, it's sometimes hard when you're a reader to get other people to read for you.
I think as long as you and I have known each other, I think this is the first time that you have actually read for me.
Not surprising. We tend to do the other people in the room first. Okay, I'm not sure whether Celia joined before you did even. Did you want a reading, Celia? I don't know if we can hear you. You can use the chat function if you could be done. Okay. Lois, I'm going to slip out for a bit. You take over.
All right. Okay. We have, all right. Sharon, if you want a reading, your microphone is muted right now. So, there you are. I'm willing to do a reading for someone if there is interest. And the sound of crickets were heard.
Chirp. I have something I could use a reading on.
All right.
Would
I can
you
do
like to
that.
know the topic, or do you want to go pull things
I
out
can-
of the
I
ether?
I can pull it out of the ether. That's the way I usually work.
Okay.
Now, do you want a quick reading, or do you want the full-on 10-card standard Celtic cross? What's your preference?
It's a situation with a fair number of variables, so I think maybe the full bore reading would be helpful.
All right. Let me shuffle these and focus on you while you focus on your question. All right, I think we're good there. All right, now I'm not going to show the cards because I think it's a little bit hard to see, but I can tell people what they are. I don't know. Can that be seen or no?
Sort of, if you know what it's supposed to look like.
Gotcha. Okay, so
It's shiny enough to have some reflections.
I could
all right.
see it.
Well, I will talk about then. All right. Now let me see what we've got here. 1, 2, 3, 4 majors. So there's a fair amount of influence from outside. Okay, 1, 2, 3, yeah, 4. Okay, so center issue is the 8 of rods reversed, which for me usually represents the end of a cycle, something coming to an end. It could be the closing of a creative endeavor. It could simply be an end of one cycle in your life. Crossing that is the devil, which again, for me, is usually you're being bound by your own blindness, by your own limitations. And if you take a different perspective on it, you'll see your way clear to a solution. Base of the issue is the moon upright, which can be things which are hidden from you, things which have not been revealed yet, things that just kind of murky. Again, things could be things that you are simply not seeing, which would go along with the devil. And in the past is the star, which is, for me, is intuition, sometimes intuition that you have been paying attention to. So, in this case, I'm not sure if you've actually been paying attention when maybe you should have. Okay. Best outcome is the Six of Cups reversed. Six of Cups is usually a card where, okay, there we go. Six of Cups is usually a card where you're looking back at the past through rose-colored glasses, seeing an idealized version and not seeing things as they are. Reversed, however, you could be living too much in the past and not looking at the situation as you're facing it. So it's, in this case, I think it's kind of a warning that you need to keep looking at things clearly. Near future is Five of Pentacles reversed. Five of Pentacles is a card that indicates being left out in the cold, feeling somewhat abandoned, feeling like you're on the outside. For reversed, I usually interpret that as you are being welcomed into a new environment if you realize that it's happening. Environment is the Page of Rods upright. Pages are usually messages and communication. So just like the first card was the Wands, this one is also a message, some news that you've been expecting, probably something possibly about a creative aspect, creative opportunity. There's communication, there's a message that's either is on its way or will be on its way to you. Okay. Those around you, Five of Rods, which is a bit of a struggle, but it's something that you are capable of dealing with. It's not going to be easy. It's probably going to be a bit of a strain, but you can do it. Now, the ninth card, let's take you out here. Okay. We've got the Ace of Swords, and using Tchipakkan's idea of what you're bringing to the situation, which I like, thank you very much. Ace of Swords is a new beginning of an intellectual endeavor. So it sounds like you have a lot of ideas on starting something, and I would suspect that you've been a little bit hesitant about doing it. Final outcome is Temperance, which for me is always striking a balance. Balancing different aspects of your idea, different aspects of the situation that you're dealing with. Overall, I get it, even though there are some difficult things here, and some issues that you're going to have to deal with, the overall feeling that I get is something positive. Not easy. You may need to reevaluate some of the things that you've been thinking, feeling, doing, but if you work at it, you will find a successful resolution. And hopefully this will touch on your situation.
Mm.
And if I'm totally off base, go ahead and tell me.
I'm feeling like it started out on target and then kind of drifted off into things I really can't connect with the
Okay.
thing I had in mind.
Okay.
The question I was trying to sort out was the pros and cons of doing Thanksgiving with best parents
Mm-hmm.
and balancing, the whole COVID thing, health issues.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
And a concern that if, on the one hand, this may not be the best time to visit them in terms of their health, but on the other hand, Christmas feels to me like it's going to be significantly riskier.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe at that point, Maine won't be letting us in anymore.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I can see. It's like, I think that the central part of the reading was probably on target, but the last four cards kind of went off into their own direction.
So the question there is, what are they telling me that I should have asked?
Have you been thinking about doing any writing?
Kind of in the, I should stop procrastinating and go back to it. Because the whole COVID thing has pretty much torpedoed my creativity.
I can understand that. I can understand that. Well, I hope it's maybe giving you something to think about.
It's definitely given me something to think about.
Which is all I can ever ask of a reading.
If you'll allow me, I'm going to tell an anecdote about a reading I did once, where the client was doing I'm trying to make this work out in my mind. If I think of it this way, it might be applicable. And finally, my daughter spoke up from the other end of the tent and said, "I'm sorry, I was thinking too loudly. That reading is exactly what was for me." While the other woman had shuffled the cards and I'd laid them out, and she was really trying to make it work for her. No, my daughter was just too worried, and the reading was it told her exactly what was going on. She left, I shuffled the cards, did it, and did a good reading for the other woman. So perhaps the part that's applicable, you can pay attention to, and the part that isn't, you can say, okay, I'm setting that aside. It may mean something later, but if you can't make work out of it now.
Oh.
Five of coins being, with trying to get together with family actually makes a lot of sense. Being out in the cold and wanting to get in where it's warm, and
Of course, it was the five of coins reversed.
Ah, yeah, well, that would be a problem then, wouldn't it? If you want to get in, but you're afraid of it. I mean,
But-
that's the whole thing. We're all afraid of being the person who made somebody else sick.
But of course, the fact that it is reversed could mean that the gathering happens.
Yeah.
Instead of being left out in the cold, you're welcomed in from the cold.
Which is when where you look at the other cards to see if there was indeed risk involved. So.
Well, it's also true, another anecdote, if you will allow.
It's what's going to make this particular show useful to anybody else.
Well, a reading that I did I was at a fair, woman came to my table, I did a reading for her. She left and came back a little while, dragging the reluctant husband.
I know the reluctant husband.
Yes. Well, he sat down, I did a reading for him, and you could tell that he thought I was just making stuff up out of thin air. Okay. This was an annual fair, so I was back the next year, and lo and behold, the same gentleman comes back to me. He says, "You read for me last year. I thought that you were just making it up until everything that you said happened." For the next several years, I had him as a regular returning customer. He, at one point, gave me a gift of something that I had said during my first reading to him, which was a quote from Shakespeare, "More things in heaven and earth than are dreamt of." He just printed it out on the computer and framed it and gave it to me, which I was very touched by. And then, of course, the topper to the whole thing is that one of the last times he came to visit my table, I found out what he did for a living. He was a practicing clinical psychologist, which I am just so tickled by, because here is the ultimate rational scientist coming to a tarot reader for a yearly homework assignment. I'm so tickled by that.
I have equivalent stories. It's hard to break through that first time. I had a guy show up once and said, and sat down, and I was like, why? This is the first time I've ever seen a guy come in and sit down without having a woman pushing him. And he pointed across the fair boulevard and said, "Over there, she's waiting over there." The reluctant husband is quite a trope. And yeah, we know that one. And they don't believe you. I have a thing, I don't ever take the money until they say it's a good reading. And I've had 2 or 3 people who went away and they said that, I said, look, I would rather not take money for a reading and had them come back and said, everything you said came true. And I said, well, you can pay me now. and they never do. So I take that to mean that the people who want to take advantage of you saying you don't have to pay are just that kind of a person. I may have broken through this doesn't work, but I didn't break through you're a jerk. I don't think it's possible for anybody to do that, so I'll live. But no, we don't. So is anybody else would like, I'm looking at, we see the name Sharon and she the name Celia. Well, we still have some time. Lacking other anecdotes, what,
Well,
I,
I know a lot of people use the Celtic Cross as their kind of go-to spread. What I do, I have a smaller spread. Matter of fact, it's the spread that I contributed to our 10th anniversary ebook, which is still available on our website, by the way. It's rather than the usual 3-card reading that could be, you know, past, present, future, mind, body, spirit. Pick your favorite. I add a row below that so that the upper row becomes things that are known in past, present, future. The bottom row is things which are hidden or not known. And for all that it's only 6 cards, it can be remarkably accurate.
I'm loving
And
that one.
it doesn't take very long to do, and it's enough to give people a taste of what a reading can be. I find
really
it very
like that.
useful.
Could
Now,
I get you to do one of those for me?
Sure. Sure. Take the cards out and give them a shuffle. Now, what would you like? Past, present, future, mind, body, spirit? What
Yeah,
would
let's
you
go
like?
mind, body, spirit.
All right. So you concentrate on getting the information and I'll concentrate on receiving it. All right. All right. Now, in the position of what is known in mind, we have the 4 of Pentacles reversed. So I would say that there's a bit of a concern about money. Oops, I lost. There we go. Bit of a concern about money. You're concerned about it. You're concerned that it may be slipping away from you a little faster than you would like. Unknown is 3 of Pentacles, also reversed. So I think the cards are saying that you need to learn something new. Look at possibly different activities, occupations. The 3 of Pentacles for me is always a card about education and learning.
Well, yeah.
Okay. Oh, I keep losing this screen. We go. Okay. In the position of body and known, we've got the 4 of Swords reversed. Okay. 4 of Swords would be a card of sometimes a pause, a hiatus, a stepping back from activities. Reverse, I usually interpret it as the opposite, where you're coming out of a hiatus. So you're starting to take action, which again, my knowing some of what's going on with you could have to do with your appointment on Friday, your upcoming appointment on Friday.
Mhm.
You're taking action.
Mhm.
Unknown or hidden is the 5 of rods upright. Again, it's a struggle, but it's something which is necessary and something which can be surmounted. It may not be easy, but it can be done. Okay, Spirit.
I actually know what that one might be. I think it
Okay,
may be, it could be you damn well have to get off your butt and start exercising every day or several times a week. That
okay,
would kind of make sense.
okay. For Spirit, we have the 9 of rods reversed. So again, you may be feeling a little overwhelmed by what you're facing, but it's not something which is insurmountable, which is also supported by the card in the Spirit Unknown, which is the 7 of rods, where you've got someone fighting off the attackers. So it looks like the cards are saying that, yeah, you have some struggles, but nothing that is insurmountable. They're encouraging you to take a look at things in a different light, to take some action, and hang in there. You'll get through it.
I really like the unknown thing. That I'm going to be using that. So,
You are quite welcome to.
and that's what changing times, changing worlds is good for, is you get to talk shop with other people who have another perspective, another technique they can share with you. I love it. I'm going to miss. I am missing the social aspects. It's like, what is the opposite of nostalgia? It's like, oh, I miss that. I'm missing some of that. So that's a sad thing. But and
For
probably
me,
a waste of energy.
for me, I'm going to miss not only the environment at the conference, but the excitement of traveling to get to the conference.
That I don't miss at all.
It's about it's literally the only time I get to take an airplane.
Okay.
You know, when I lived in Jersey, I would come up by train, which I've always enjoyed taking train rides.
Trains are good.
And living here in North Carolina, I come up by airline, and that's still fun in a different way, depending on which airport. Some of them are less fun than others, shall we say.
Mhm. I am a little concerned that we haven't got any more volunteers to read for. I wonder if we could read. No, I was going to say we could read for the outcome of the election, but I don't want to. We know it's going to be craziness, so we'll just leave it right where it is, and
Well, we could always do something like how long will it take the country to recover from the results of the election?
I'm more,
Or-
I would rather say, what do we need to do to recover from the election, or what do we need to do to heal the spirit of that has been wounded, or what are the useful things we could try? I don't just want a diagnosis. I want a prescription.
I need to make a new case for my cards. This one is finally giving way. I made
Yeah.
a case out of plastic canvas.
Yeah, oh, the plastic cans, those are so cool. Hold it up nicely the way you were holding up the card so people can see it. Lois makes some cool things. Isn't that pretty? Yeah. This is the one deck of these cards that we still have a good box for.
Well, this comes
Or
with
other
me.
card, my cards are like, here's 2 rubber bands.
Well, this deck lives in the tote bag that comes with me almost everywhere I go. So I always have my cards ready. And if someone really wants a reading, I also carry my little square device in my bag. So I could, if they don't have cash, that's not a problem.
Oh, that's clever. I have, one of the nice things about this is my Lenormand, and if you look at that compared to your standard size of it's smaller. They're much lit. They're sometimes called the petite Lenormand. It's a different set of symbols, not tarot symbols, but it has some overlap. Gee, what a surprise! They both have sun and moon and stars, and that's where I run into the most problem, because the meanings are different in the 2 systems, and it's hard not to think in terms of the tarot, which I've been doing for over 50 years now. And when the moon in the Lenormand has to do with your face and how the world sees you and how it changes. And a lot of that has to do with business, which is totally different than the moon and the spiritual psychic aspects in the tarot. But one of the business cards in Lenormand is the moon and how you are perceived by others.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is different. And but I actually, when I'm carrying around, I have a slightly smaller even Lenormand deck and a tarot deck. But to tell you another fun story, because the Celtic cross is such a basic one that we all know. One time we were out car shopping and we're like, okay, we really like that last one, not 100% sure. Let's reading. Where's my tarot deck? I haven't got. So I pulled out all the cards from the back of my purse that you get. There was a pizza, you check it off, and after you've bought so many pizzas, you get something. We had the frequent shopper card for the fabric store. We had
Nice.
just all these assorted cards, shuffled them, laid them out in the Celtic cross, and they all made perfect sense. We know exactly what that card meant in that position, because the position was as it always is, but each of the cards, because sewing means one thing to you, and eating means one thing to you, and each of them actually meant it worked.
Oh,
So
I like that.
It was bizarre. I think the next most bizarre way of reading cards that has come up, my daughter did not have playing cards with her once when she and her friends were in a hotel room. And so they put a hat on the floor. They were bored and they tossed the card at the hat thing to see who can get the cards in. But all
Mhm.
she had was her tarot cards. And she noticed patterns forming and discovered that the throwing the cards at the hat gave you the further away from the hat it was, when it went in, it was one thing, and when it was out, and if it was leaning up against it, and it gave good readings. And it's like,
I
okay.
I knew someone who apparently, I don't know if they still do, but Taco Bell used to put different quotes on their
Kane.
sauce packets.
That was Kathy Kane.
Was it Kathy?
It was Kathy. She taught me that one.
Yeah, she was able to do readings with the quotes on the Taco Bell packets, which I think is just so amusing. That would be a fun class to or panel to have. Weird divination methods. Gotta think about that. Then there was someone else I knew who used to be able to do scrying by focusing on a pair of argyle socks. Oops, I think we lost Tchipakkan.
Good thing she made me host.
Well, our time is just about up. So let's see if she comes back in. If not, what I can do is remind everyone that the 2020 conference will start on November 9th, 2020. It will run for 7 days, 5 weekday evenings, and full days on Saturday and Sunday. You can go to our site at www.ctcw.net and find our blog, find information about the speakers and the classes. Everything to do with 2020 is accessible from the menu bar that says CTCW 2020. We tried to make it easy for everyone to find and to register. And I think it's a wonderful opportunity to learn new things and interact with other people, even though it's going to be a virtual arena rather than a in real life person to person one. But look at it this way. You get to do things all from the comfort of your own device.
And there's no expense, no hotel room to pay for, no expensive hotel meals.
No transportation charge.
So there are definitely trade-offs about a virtual conference that are good.
Mm-hmm. It
Also,
took me a while to realize the benefits of it, but I think it's going to be fun.
many of the conferences I've been to since this started have ended with people saying, you know, it would be great if we could do the virtual part of this next year too for people who can't come in person. And that's a tougher nut to crack. Because then you have to be able to record the person who's speaking live.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we'll see some virtual component added to a lot of things going forward.
I would think so, yes.
Because it has made it so much more accessible to people with health limitations or other things that make travel painful and difficult.
I'm back.
We've just been doing the spiel for how wonderful the conference is going to be.
We need to. I am kind of hoping that we will be able to use the virtual aspect to reach the West Coast and maybe other parts of the world.
And we should also mention that there will be no regularly scheduled talk show next week because it will be in the middle of the conference time period.
That would be silly.
And I think we are planning to continue these after the conference.
Yes, because it's too much fun for me to give them up.
Yeah.
And besides which, I use them to pursue other speakers, because people find out about the changing times, changing worlds gradually, and they're like, it's going to be very frustrating. I mean, can you imagine anything more frustrating? And I've heard of this happening, if people come back from the conference and tell people wonderful time they had that weekend, and they said, well, I wish you told me. I would have so liked that kind of conference. Well, yeah, but we're all very hesitant to bring up the paranormal unless we already have opened that conversation with an acquaintance. You know, unless they're open to it, you just don't want to be that person. And
having had that conversation with a couple of friends in relation to the concept in general, not the conference, looked at in hindsight the dance around the subject while you feel each other out and try to figure out if it's safe to say more. It's pretty silly looking.
But on the other hand, if there's somebody who is going to back off and say, then you want to, you got to be careful. It's a conversation that at this point is still needed, I think.
Yes,
we have
absolutely.
a panel about that this next week.
I have a button that I wear sometimes if I'm feeling daring. It says, I like reading books, but I love reading cards. So, in theory, it could open the conversation, but in practice, it doesn't usually.
True. Well, actually, now that you have done the ad that I usually put at the end, since it's 9, I suppose we could close up and thank the silent folks who joined us. Would have been happy to read for you if maybe your mics weren't working. I don't know. Maybe you didn't want a reading. But thank you for being here. I hope you come to the conference. Tell your friends. Thank you, Lois. Thank you, Kathy. Thank the gods that I was moved to change who was the host. So.
All right.
And,
My pleasure. And I look forward to next week.
yes. And I understand that there may be in the hospitality area some open reading, which would be fun. I enjoy it. I mean, you don't do it for 50 years if you don't enjoy it. Right?
Right.
And on that note, I'm going to end the recording for the night.
Good idea.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy.